like to call the order the August 10th, 2022 meeting of the Delray Oaks Planning Commissioner, and I would like a roll call, please.
Commissioner Berger.
Here.
Commissioner Wood. Here. Commissioner Krieger.
Here.
Commissioner Ragsdale Cronin is absent. Commissioner Jack Shaw.
Present.
Commissioner Getzelt.
Here.
Chairman Hayworth.
Here. Okay, Pledge of Allegiance. We'd all rise or do whatever you want to do. We'll take care of that right now. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you all. Okay, consent agenda. I guess I should open to that, shouldn't I? Any changes by the commissioners, comments?
No, I'll move that we accept them as submitted.
I'll second that.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
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 Karen, do you want a roll call, Karen?
Sure. Commissioner Berger.
Aye. Here. Present.
Commissioner Wood. Aye. Commissioner Krieger.
Aye.
Commissioner Jack Shaw.
Aye.
Commissioner Getzelt.
Aye.
Chairman Hayworth.
Aye. Okay, we'll move on to public comment. Anyone wishing to address the commission on matters not appearing on the agenda may do so now. The public may comment on any other matters listed on the agenda at the time the matter is being considered by the commission. There will be a time limit of not more than 3 minutes for each speaker. No action will be taken by the commission on matters brought up under this item, and all comments will be referred to staff. Is there anyone in the public that would like to comment on anything not on the agenda? Nope. Okay. Then we will close public comment. Reports. Anyone have any comments? Questions? Building report, building permit report?
Not aye.
No? Okay, there's no motion required there. On to old business, there is none. So next up is, find it. Project description, requested architectural review and variance review of the following addition to the garage, first level and proposed new second story. The total proposed project would be 2,685 square feet, two-story residence with 795 square foot, three-car garage. The two requested variances are for the front yard setback in relation to the position of the enlarged garage, as well as requested increase in allowable floor area to 3,480 from the allowable 2,700 square feet. All colors and materials to match existing. File name ARC 22-01 and variance 22-01 and 22-02. And this is at 30 Work in Delray Oaks. And I will now turn this over to the city manager, John Girton.
All right, thank you, Chair. And I think probably the best way to handle this at this point is the applicant and the owners are here, and we'll turn it over to them for them to present the project and to present the evidence supporting the request for the variance, and then send it back to you for questions, and staff will be available to help with questions at that point. So I think to Rebecca Skellen or Ms. Borges, who's going to speak on this item?
I see Rebecca's on. I think she just might need to unmute herself. There's her.
Okay.
Yeah,
great.
there we go. I'm
Yeah,
here,
Rebecca
I'm
was
sorry.
is on just audio for an unfortunate reason. So you'll have to look at my face, unfortunately.
I'll mute myself.
I'm sorry. So, while I was figuring that, you just to reiterate, you wanted me to review the project, and I did. I actually did want to say that there was a correction in the the agenda or on our project is that we are proposing all new exterior finishes. They are going to be similar in the color that the existing garage is, which is white with trim of black, but they are going to be all new finishes with white siding and black trim, and also some white stone with black veining. And so our two variances that we're requesting, the first one is the setback, and our reasoning is that the existing garage is a very small garage that's actually under the square footage per the municipal code of, where is it? Sorry, I'm looking at the staff report here. It requires, I believe, 700 or 525 square feet. And so we're adding the addition of a 2-car garage along with the 1-car garage, and the variance is that the setbacks stay within the in line with the existing garage, which still allows for a 20-foot setback from the street. And that street was also planned to be a 60-foot wide street at one point to allow for, I believe, a 4-car passageway. So we are in line with the existing conditions and also the precedent of the neighborhoods and where their garages are in location to this street. And then the second variance, back to the parking, and also allowing for the 3-car garage, we would be over the minimum requirement square footage of the garage area. And we are also thinking that this garage would reduce the off-street parking and would have remove the curb that allows street side parking, and then also having more parking for the residents, so reducing that way as well. And the second variance is the increase in floor area, and because of the steep slope when building the new garage, it's a full story above the existing house, and to utilize that space for storage where it's not visible and it wouldn't increase coverage. So we're asking to increase the floor area for majority of storage area, and also to have a connectivity from the garage, a direct connectivity from the garage to the living space instead of having to use the exterior circulation that could be a little bit steeper just for ease of the residents.
Okay, so John, how did you want to go from here?
Okay, is that all that you had, Ms. Cullen?
Yes.
Okay, I guess at this point, we'll return it back to you, and if the commissioners have any questions, then the applicants can address those or staff can help with those.
Okay, so this is for the planning commissioners. This is for questions of clarification. No, we're not going to make any comments at this point. We'll come back to that later when we come back for comments, and then we'll look for a motion. So let's start with George. Do you have any questions?
Not at this time.
Okay. Commissioner Getzel.
Yeah, I'm new to this, and I'm kind of confused about the setback variance. It talks about the existing, but it doesn't say what the rule is.
The
Okay.
rule that is under my understanding is that the minimum front setback is 20 feet.
Okay.
And we
From the-
typically,
From the
It's not-
lot, from the street or from the lot line?
it's 21 foot and 5.5 inches from the back of curb from the street.
Okay, my question is, what is the rule?
The rule is from lot line, but the lot line, just to speak logically on this, Work Street was kind of designed as a 60-foot street, and it would
Okay.
never be widened to a 60-foot street. And so the property lines were pushed back from a standard property line, which would have been out another 10 to 12 feet out to the back of curb, which obviously never happened. And that's why precedent on that side of the street where garages were kind of put in where a standard garage would be. So what we're doing is we're keeping with the standard of what's there, which is the face of the garage is at where the existing one is. We're not encroaching any further. We're keeping it in face with the existing. So we're not actually coming any closer to it. But at the same time, it's, as Rebecca talked about, that it's going to alleviate some on-street parking and bringing it off the street, because the garage that they have right now, I don't know how they did it back in the 50s and the 60s. I don't know how you fit a Buick in that darn thing. You wouldn't be able to get out of it. I mean, it's so small. And you know as well as I do that if you have a garage in anywhere around here, you don't put a car in it. It becomes a storage unit, right? So, and that's not what the intent is here. The intent is here is to actually park their cars. And when they have visitors, their visitors can park on the driveways, which are accessible, and a car can park on the driveway without extending over the pedestrian walkway.
Thank you.
Mr. Turgan, what's your relationship to the whole thing here? I don't see your name.
I'm also with the architect, so I work with Rebecca, and so I'm here to just answer questions as well. So I've worked on the project with Rebecca, and we kind of tag team this. So she is the applicant. I'm just here to help.
Right. So Mr. Turgan's correct. As you all know, the setbacks in the city are, and not the setbacks, sorry, the easements that the city has in front of everybody's property are interesting, to say the least, and a little haphazard as you go through the city. And so technically the garage that's there is legal non-conforming, and so that would need to be addressed. But most of the garages throughout the city are legal non-conforming. So
yeah, to speak to what you're saying, John, is that all the garages on that side of the street are basically in line and straight across in that space. So we're not asking for anything further than what's already there. What we're doing is we're aligning with the face. We're going to have a nice garage that's going to come straight across. It's going to conform with exactly what's there right now. And it will serve the utilitarian purpose of obviously the cars on the street come off the street, which I see as blight, but then the rest of it is, you basically have more usage on the property than you would normally.
right. So it is a little different because for consistency throughout the neighborhood, everybody has a similar style of garage. Those that have front-facing garages like that on the street are all these kind of awkward small garages. So this would be something new for the neighborhood, something new for the city to have an entire frontage, not entire, but significant portion of the frontage taken up by garage facing. So that's something for you all to consider. But again, the setback, the 20-foot setback, I think is something for you all to consider, whether or not that's something that you think is important, because the easements are a little strange.
Yeah,
And-
and layman's terms again, Louise, because you're new to it, our garage is basically detached and sits in front of the house, and there's a eaves that goes between the house and the garage. And there's 6 houses built identically on this side of the street that all have that same thing. And so again, we're not moving the garage forward or backward and changing that space at all. It's just wider on our lot, still within the setbacks on the side and everything. When we had the property surveyed to the point of, I'm sorry, I think it was the gentleman that was speaking. I'm so sorry, I forgot your name. It wasn't George, but either way, that was talking about the setbacks being strange. When we had it surveyed, again, technically they had our property line like in the middle of a driveway. So that's why it comes up as a variance. Like you said, it's legal non-conforming, but if you stand in our driveway, half of it is technically city. So again, we're not going further towards the street, just widening it.
Okay, the words of having a front yard is, I understand, is that's the wording of a 20-foot front yard is a 3-car wide driveway, a front yard.
Well, I don't know anybody that uses their driveway as a front yard, and that's what we have currently. Again, our property is a slope, so we don't have a usable front yard. It's driveway and it's on a grade. So all of the homes here, we only have a backyard. Nobody has a front yard. So
Yeah,
we're using our driveway as a front yard.
I drove by and I'm familiar with the location, so
Mhm.
I took a close look the other day. Thank you.
Cool. Yeah, thanks.
Okay, Commissioner Krieger, any questions?
Yeah, I have a couple. First one's probably for City Attorney. I was hoping you could talk a little bit more, take the legalese and put it in English for me for what it means exactly when they talk about it's necessary for the preservation and enjoyment of substantial property rights of the petitioner. I mean, I know what the words mean, but what does that really mean? What kind of threshold are we talking about? That's lawyer talk to me, so.
Sure. I'm going to read you from section 65906 of the government code, which sort of sets the baseline for variances. City can be more restrictive, but it says the statutory justification for a variance is that the owner otherwise would suffer unique hardship under the general zoning regulations, because a particular parcel is different from or other from the others to which the regulation applies due to its size, shape, topography, location, or surroundings. And then, so our code is consistent with that. That's just a little bit more of a narrative style description of what that is. One of the factors, to your point, Commissioner Krieger, is substantial evidence. What is the hardship suffered? So the applicant needs to make a finding under the 3 criteria that you have in your packet. But you can consider things like what kind of hardship is going to be suffered by the applicant as opposed, because of the unique nature of the property, what is the special hardship that the applicant is going to suffer that others wouldn't in the same area? It can be financial. You've got to make findings as to that. It could be environmental. It could be access, those type of things. But so I hope that helps.
Yeah, that clarifies it quite a bit. That's a lot better what's in the in our ordinance here. The second question I have, and I'm not sure if this is an Aaron question or back to you for a city attorney question, but if we have something that's currently non-compliant, we talked about all these garages aren't because of where they were built. Can we add more non-conforming structure to it? I mean, just because you have something there that's non-conforming, does that mean like, okay, all bets are off now, you just keep doing whatever as long, because it's non-conforming? Or is there what's the rule there exactly on if you want to add additional structure that's going to be more non-conforming? Or is there? I mean, like, again, I'm not sure if that's a Aaron question or a city attorney question or just a dumb question.
Aaron, would you like me to?
Sure. I mean, I don't want to speak
Or go right ahead.
legal
I mean,
questions.
Okay, well, why don't I go and then you can correct me if I'm wrong. So it is a legal non-conforming based on the technical reading of the zoning code. The garage is within the 20-foot setback. What this commission has is discretion to determine whether or not an addition to that legal non-conforming will sort of expand or make more permanent that legal non-conforming. I'll note that the garage is additive to the existing garage. But what I will say is that as a factual determination, a court would defer to this body as far as its determination of facts of whether or not it would indeed do that. But that is a question for the commissioners to consider. whether or not there's a legal non-conforming, and whether or not this would sort of make that more permanent, or if it's you know, gonna not matter, not be affected by it.
So if we want to do it, we can do it, but if I hear you right.
As long as your decision is supported by facts presented by the applicant, yes.
Okay.
And Commissioner Krieger, I'll just add, and Alex, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe that granting the variance for the setback would kind of by default be accepting this legal non-conforming as now the legal situation. So does that make sense, Alex, to you?
It would become
Absolutely.
more.
It becomes legal.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Uh-huh.
All for-
If I may too, for the standards for variance that are in our paperwork here, the last sentence is which circumstances or conditions do not apply generally to land, building, and or use in the same district. And I read same district to be their neighborhood, their street, their, you know, where they're at, where similar situations exist. So, all right, anything more, Commissioner Krieger?
No, I'll wait for the discussion later. That's all. That's the only questions I have right now.
Good, thank you. Commissioner Wood.
Yeah, I have a question about the size of the driveway. I redid mine, and I, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe right now, the widest driveway you can have is 23 feet. And so this one, I believe they're gonna bump that up to 60. And I don't know if that's something that should be considered.
That is correct, that the maximum width is 23 feet.
Okay.
As representing the applicant, if you want to condition it to make it to city standards, I was not aware of that. We can make that work, I'm sure. We have enough depth that we can actually curve it down in order to get a car in. We don't have a problem with that.
And there's another thing, there's a quite a large oak tree in the front that I believe, and what were the plans for that?
I believe, and I don't have the plans in front of me. Typically, you guys put the plans up on, especially with Zoom, that we're going to attempt to save it. I don't remember if it was coming out or not.
Because it's quite large and it's pretty much in the middle. So that's going to.
It is in the middle. I mean, that's
some creative sketching there.
We'll be creative, I guess. I mean,
okay.
I thought also it was somewhere in the city that if you did need to remove a tree, as long as you replanted it, like we could remove it. Is that not correct? But if it was in the guidelines.
Well, I don't think that tree's movable. You mean replant or replace it?
Replace it with other trees is what you said.
Can you speak to that, John? I don't recall. I know that we have to get a permit if you want to cut anything that's over 18 inches in diameter or something like that, but I don't know about taking a tree out.
And that one, I believe, is about 12.
City manager, if you don't mind, I would want to just, before we dig into this discussion, if it's on city property, it has a different ordinance apply. So you don't need a permit. We just changed our oak removal ordinance. So we'd have to decide which side it's on.
Interesting. Okay.
It's on your city side. What does that mean then? Just hypothetically.
You don't need a permit, I believe.
Okay.
All right. So again, like an item like that, I don't think we as a design team and I don't think the owners are going to have an issue with making that a condition of approval that we work with the city on that at all. I don't want this to stymie the design or the benefit that this remodel is going to bring to the city. So conditions are not a problem.
Okay.
If I may, I don't have the plans in front of me, but I'm in touch with Lee, who's at the office with the plans. And she mentioned that the plans state that tree will be removed.
Okay.
And I'm looking at the plans as well, and they're on the city side, and it says remove existing tree.
Yes. Okay, sorry, I missed that.
Only thing I see are the carpets that are being planted.
Okay. That are planted. Okay,
And
thank
the
you.
plans show the removal of 2 trees.
Yep.
Okay, so is there any other permits or anything that are needed for that? Or is that something they come to the city for and the city does that? Or how does that work, John?
Well, that would need to come to the arborist, Ron. and Ron would review it and determine what would be required to take the trees out. And it's certainly within the purview of this body to condition any tree removal to be, to be a one-to-one replacement or something like that, if that's what you all choose.
Yeah, one of those.
Yeah. And then Ken, you mentioned putting something up on the screen. Did you guys provide electronic copies of the?
Yes, we did. I believe we did. But regardless, I mean, I think everybody has the plans. I just didn't have them with me.
Yeah.
And I think everybody knows what we're looking at here. I think that the thing is that the two variances we're looking at, the garages, which what we're stating is that we're keeping with the legal non-conforming face of it. We're not trying to encroach any further. And that's just I know, Alex, you were talking about that we have to but variance, something to the effect of I don't remember exactly how you put it, but that we have to prove of hardship on this. But variances aren't granted just on hardship. They're also granted on precedent and on consistency. So, and it's also up to the governing body to allow these to happen. And when you have something that is an anomaly, where you have a paper 60-foot wide street that's never going to be a 60-foot wide street, that the face of the property line should be essentially 12 to 13 feet past this, and this would totally be legal. That's why they built them that way. I think they probably built them going, okay, you can build them now, but if we do widen the street to 60 feet, you might have to take down your garage, which I don't think is ever going to happen. So I think it's up to the body to understand that. And the only other one that we're really looking at here, and this is kind of more small potatoes than anything else, is that because of doing the garage, we're going to have this excavation that we're going to have to bring the foundation down to the level of the house, because there's a significant grade change from that whole side of the street has a grade change that drops down a significant amount and ends up with this void underneath the garage. And so what they're trying to do is so that we don't end up with a California storage unit, as I call every garage for anybody that's in the Bay Area, that we actually gain a little bit of storage space under there that they can put their seasonal storage, the storage that they don't have to put in the garage anymore, bikes and stuff like that. And so that's the only thing we're asking for as far as the other variance, which is essentially just, hey, we just capturing just a little square footage. We're not upping the FAR, where we are upping the FAR. What we're not upping is the coverage, because the coverage is already there. So we're not asking for that many concessions. It's only the two small ones. I mean, any other questions from the commission would be welcome. I mean, I think the design is sensitive. I mean, it's definitely a little bit more modern. But I think we're taking into consideration how this property works, and we're trying to maximize what they can get out of this for the little tiny house that they have right now, to make this just a little bit more livable for the owners.
Okay, thanks, Mr. Jurgen. I think we need to get back to
Sure.
the.
Chair Hayworth, if I might.
Yes.
So what I'd like to do is clarify, it's not just sort of a willy-nilly determination of what's legal, what's not legal. You have before you in page 2 of the staff report very clear findings that must be made, which is chapter 17, 44020 A, B, and C. So it's not just hardship. These three are need to be, the commission has to find facts to support these. So it's not sort of perhaps as willy-nilly as was said. The commission has to make these findings on the record. I, of course, don't set these conditions. They're in our municipal code, but I just want to remind this body that that's its task at hand.
Right, thanks. Commissioner Wood, was that it for you? No more? Okay.
I'm good, thank you.
Sure. Commissioner Berger, questions for clarification?
No, I think actually we really touched pretty much everything that I was concerned about, including the tree in the front yard or on the work side of the property.
Okay. I think we've gone through all the commissioners. Did I miss anybody? No? Okay.
Mike, I have a question.
Sure.
I don't know now or later, but if the city limits the width of the driveway, would the trees need to be taken out?
It's not the width of the driveway, if I'm not mistaken, it's the width of the curb cut. Am I correct about that, or so if the curb cut was only 23 feet, as Mr. Turgan said, they can manage to make it so the car can maneuver properly to the furthest garage. Am I correct in what I understand?
When I widened mine, it was 23 feet, the width of the driveway.
Oh, the full width, not
Yeah,
curb
correct.
cut.
Correct. Correct me if I'm wrong, but that's what I believe.
Okay. Thank you, Commissioner Berger. So at this point, John, did you want to go to a presentation by Aaron or Alex, or shall we go out to public comment first?
I don't think we have anything more to add, do we, Aaron? No. Okay, yeah, so maybe go out to public comment at this point.
Okay, so we'll go ahead. Can we see how many people are from the public that want to speak on this? We kind of have an idea.
Actually, I'm sorry, Chair, if I could, just one thing. So Denise, Commissioner Wood raised a question about front yard setback, I think. And maybe the applicant or Aaron, can you speak to what the current setback is of the front yard? And when I say the front yard, I'm not talking about the front of the garage. I'm talking about the side of the garage. Is there already a 20-foot front yard that's currently existing that would no longer be existing with the addition of the new garage?
The current front setback from the back of curb is 21 feet and 5.5 inches. And so we would maintain that same front setback from the street.
Yeah, but that's
The
to the
exist
garage, not to the house.
oh, to the house. I
To the
see.
house, please.
Yes, to the house.
I think it's 31 feet, right?
That's the side setback, but from the face of the front of the house, I can, if you just give me one moment, I can get that information to you.
Technology is a bane these days, I know.
I think the point that I'm trying to make for the commission to consider is that, I think there was a statement that there isn't a front yard now, but, and I haven't been out to the site. I'm just looking at the site plan, but it does look like there is a front yard to the side of the garage.
Yeah.
Yeah. That would
Oh,
no-
to the
Yeah, that would no longer.
Yeah,
be
to
there
the
anymore.
I'm
Sorry,
trying
the
to think
side of the
to the-
garage, yes.
To the west side of the garage.
correct.
Yes, that is 31 feet, 6 inches.
Okay, so that would go away with the expansion of the garage.
Yes, but it would still be in conformance with the side setback of 6 feet.
And there isn't anything in the design standards nor in the zoning code that requires a front yard. And that's the anomaly with some of these sites when you have a dramatic grade change and the main residence is some 30-something feet back beyond the garage. I mean, this is like your standard lane home, if you will, where you drive in, and then your home is behind where you drive in. It's just the way these were designed back then. And we're kind of stuck with that partee. We're not able to say, okay, we're just going to plop the residence in the front and drive around the back. I mean, that's just not the way this road and this property was originally designed. What we're trying to do is keep with the initial design intent of what the property allows us to do, and try to make this work logically and within as much the only two things that we don't have, but trying to keep it in the as much of the ordinance as we can.
Right, and so I'm just trying to make a technical point for the commission. So when they do consider this, that they're making an informed decision, and the technical ordinance and requirements is a 20-foot setback from the property line, the lot line, not from the curb. And so there currently is a 20-foot setback to the house in the front yard, which does meet the city ordinance. So if we were to make the variance saying that now for this property, we're making the setback from the curb, not from the lot line, that would make the planned garage doable, but by the technical nature of how the ordinances are written, it's already within the technical guidelines of the city's ordinances. What you're asking for with the variance is something different.
Right, sure. But you have to look into that. That's why I brought up precedent, is that other permits have been issued for garage additions to the same garages down this street on that same side. So
Okay. Yeah,
this is not an anomaly. That's why I said you look down that whole, all the garage, that there was a garage addition with a second story that was added on a number of years ago. I don't know what neighbor it is. It's down the street a little bit, but there is precedent that has been approved. And that's why it's very difficult to understand from just looking at it on paper, is that, Work Street is never going to be widened to 60 feet. You and I know that. And if it is, then we have a problem, because 60 feet is basically wider than 218. So, where do you draw the line here? So what it is more looking at is that, is it consistent with what is there? Our opinion is yes. We wouldn't design something that wasn't. We're consistent with what's there. We're consistent with the neighbors who have the garages that are on that side. We aren't encroaching any further than that. And if you do the math, and if the property lines were moved out and it wasn't a 60-foot wide feet, and it was only a standard 40-foot wide or 30-foot wide feet street that it's supposed to be, then we're looking at it from 30,000 feet and understanding how this project is really going ahead. So it's the variance that we're asking for is more of a precedent variance, because it's not like we're the only ones doing this. And we're saying, forget you, we don't want to do this. We want to put our garage where we want. We're saying, hey, we're just being consistent with what's there. The allowance of this actually maintains the existing use the way it is, but actually getting some other cars off the street, because street cars are kind of, annoying, but it also gets other visitors that can come, because if you have a resident that's parking all their cars on the street, you run out of street parking, right? So there are benefits and pushes and pulls to all of this. So what we're asking for is not anything out of the ordinary. I mean, if we were going for pie in the sky and saying, now we're going to put this wherever we want, the variance that we're asking for is not a hardship by any means, but it is something that makes logical sense. And I think the commission can make that decision based upon the precedent on what's going on that block, and based upon the findings of what we have shown that this is a logical way to proceed.
Right. Okay. Thanks, Chair.
So I think we're kind of, if I may be sticking my neck out here a little bit. I think we all agree that those houses, all of those houses, have existing non-conforming garages. I think we're beating a dead horse there. So if I'm speaking out of turn, I apologize, but I think we're beating.
Mike, I'll shut up now.
So well, first of all, this is probably not proper protocol, but I know Dr. Borges had his hand up. I'd like to listen to what he has to say real quick, or entertain his question real quick.
Well, hi there. I don't know if you guys can hear me. I just left the clinic.
Yeah, we can't hear you. So we'll move on. I see Commissioner.
Bad here, but good afternoon or anyhow.
Okay, so we'll move on to, I see Commissioner Berger's got his hand up.
Thank you. I do have a question for Mr. Turgeon. A couple questions. The existing garage, how wide and how long is it?
Oh, the existing one?
I can't see it on the. I can't see any measurement.
On the existing conditions plan, it should show it, or even on the site plan, it'll show it. Rebecca, is it like 10'6" by 22?
Okay.
I mean, it's tiny.
And then the average.
Hold on. Go ahead, Rebecca. No.
The average car is less than 18 feet SUV. The largest is 19 feet 2 inches. Next question is how wide is the proposed 3-car garage and how deep is the proposed 3-car garage?
Rebecca, can you, I'm sure you have the AutoCAD
Sorry,
file
I
open.
think, yeah, sorry. The existing garage is 12 feet by 22 feet. And the new garage is adding 23.5 feet wide addition. So the total, a 3-car garage would be a width of 36 feet roughly. And the depth would be the same. So the depth would stay at the 22 feet deep.
So Mike, standard, a small 2-car garage is about 24 by 22-ish. And because you need room to kind of get around your car. You don't want to just get it at the car in there. You won't be able to move.
Sure.
So that's all we're proposing.
Okay. That answers my question. Thank you.
Sure.
Commissioner Getzel.
The new garage, is there a wall? You're going to be using the old garage as part of the new garage. Is that correct?
Yes, the existing wall that's on you have the small garage, right? And then we're going to be adding on to it. That existing wall is going to stay and there'll be a door that goes between the two.
Okay.
Because actually there might be a little bit of a grade difference and that's why we need to do that.
Thank you.
Sure.
Okay, let's get back on agenda here, and we're back to public comment. Can I see? Well, I guess there's not that many people here. We can. Anybody want to speak? Public comment?
Yeah, we'd like to speak.
Okay, you have 3 minutes.
Okay, 3 minutes. Can I share my screen or no?
Yes, you may.
Karen,
Go ahead.
how do you do that?
I'm trying. There we go. So this is just a series of photographs of what it'll look like from our property. We are right next door at 26. I know the number should probably be 29, but it isn't. It's a funny numbered system. Anyway, this would be the look coming down our side, and there's all these windows that look directly over into our lot. And when we talked to the boards about this, they said that the podocarpus trees that are along here would grow up eventually to cover that. But none of the other garages seem to have,
Garages
or houses seem to have windows on that side. But that's what that would look like from the top of the stair. And this is sort of beginning to come down the stair. This is our main entry over here. And so from our main entry, if you were to look out, this is our front door where we come in and out of the house. There would be these windows and this wall, which is essentially, because we're 5 feet below the grade of the house, it's going to be almost like a 2.5-story structure is what it's going to appear as, because we're down lower. And also the windows are there. And the windows also would appear right through into our living room. This is sitting on our couch in the living room. This picture was taken, and you'll be able to see directly in until these podocarpus grow up to cover it.
That's another thing, the podocarpus.
I'm gonna carry on with this part really quick. And so there it is from the backyard view, where all those windows, essentially what we're seeing, and then to the middle of the lot, this is our courtyard in the middle coming back over again. And that's so essentially what you're seeing is a big wall with windows on it that overlooks our entire property. And the thing that we're concerned about is that these podocarpus that are growing along this wall, they're trees, and they will grow eventually to cover those windows. But how long will our privacy be affected until that happens? The second thing is this wall was engineered to handle probably the weight. We replaced it and had the engineered drawings made. And it's meant to sort of handle the size of a small house, I would assume. I don't know if the engineering needs to change to handle that extra weight, or all these 17 podocarpuses that are growing along the side of just this wall. So are they going to push on the wall and degrade its integrity? We're worried about that.
We know that the Borges have taken samples and done some plan about the
This-
pressure, but they haven't done anything that we know of about the pressure against that single block, cinder block wall. It was pushed over by the previous owners, 2 trees plus old age. But they were falling towards the house, and that's when we really need to get them replaced. So if we have these trees, which will eventually grow up to, quite a considerable height, and they can grow up to 40 feet, actually some of them to 60 feet, we're going to have this huge intrusion and weight against that one wall. And we want to know whether have they done anything, has Rebecca or Kenneth done anything to look at that wall and whether that wall needs to be completely re-engineered, because we don't want to down the
Replace it
line
again.
replace it, because the house,
was
because
expensive.
everything is moving from their side down Work Avenue. Everything kind of moves that way, and we don't want that. We don't want that maintenance. We don't want to pay for another 53-foot wall. We don't want to pay for maintaining, the podocarpus.
No one's gonna have you pay for it. Well, if Rebecca can start to let you know about our structural engineer, she'll tell you.
Excuse me.
Excuse me,
Everybody.
Point of order, everybody. The 3 minutes is up. So
Okay.
we'll go back out to the public if there's any more public comment.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, okay, we'll go ahead and entertain your comments.
Mr. Hamper, can you stop sharing your screen?
I'm trying.
Okay, thank you.
Dr. Borges, we're kind of out of order here, but go ahead.
Sorry.
Dr. Borges.
I think he's driving. I don't think he's on, but I was referring to Rebecca so she can give Louisa and Charles some information on what structural engineers do, and that our house is not going to be dependent on her fence.
Aaron, we're going to give our chance to respond after public comment. So we need to, there's no dialogue at this point. So the Hampers are just giving their points, and we'll respond and do due diligence once Mr. Hayworth allows us.
Okay, so if there's no more public comment, we're going to go to back to the commission and comments by the commissioners. I'll start with Commissioner Jackshaw. You're muted, George.
You're on mute, George.
Thank you. Originally, all permits that have come to the city were based individually. So we have the latitude to, to say, because of the conditions, not because, he's allowing it, we allowed it down there, but not here. It can be completely out of character or something, and where we have some leeway there. So the garage parking is unfortunate. I live over on the other side of the canyon, and Denise can testify on Paloma that both garages driveways you need a half track to probably get up into them or down to them, depending on which side you are. And back to Mike's mention that adding on to a non-conforming, how far do we go to adding on to non-conforming? 2-car garage, 3-car garage, 4-car garage? Well, we just keep on adding, and we're going to start setting more and more precedences that may get out of hand, and then we're going to go on to the slippery slope of where to stop this. I would like to ask Denise, when I'm finished, her opinion on those trees. We've had problems with trees like that before, and in any event, that's a concern. I'd like to Denise her opinion. I love the design. I'm a bit of a modern person myself, but it is out of complete character of the existing homes around the area. It almost looks commercial, which is sort of unfortunate. And so my garage, and I have a 2-car garage, is the front, the garage door is 16 by 22, just for, comparison. So all in all, my opinion, it needs to be scaled down a little bit and to the allowable 2,700 square feet, and possibly lower the roof line a little bit so it won't stand out. That's my personal opinion, and I'd like Denise, when she gets to her turn, deal with the trees. So, thank you.
Okay, thank you, George. Commissioner Getzel.
It's beautiful. I do have a concern, as mentioned, because of the slope, because of the additional weight that an additional story would put onto the land, both towards 218 as well as to the north. The driveways of 23 feet, a 2-car garage versus a 3-car garage. Also, that would potentially preserve the trees, the oak trees. I did look while we were talking and listening. I did look up on Google Maps and the Street View, and there is what I saw, one home that appears to have been modified with looks like a small 2-car garage. Most of the rest of the homes on that street still only have the 1-car garage that I could see. It was something I did not think of looking for when I drove by there, but looking at both the satellite view and the street view on Google Maps, there is what I could see only one, and it is only a 2-car garage at max, and it appears to be a small 2-car garage. So it appears only one garage has been modified on that street and expanded. I can understand, I looked at it, there is no really usable front yard, but it's an open space. Whether you use it or not, it's still an open and potentially, well, around here, not necessarily green, a brown space, but having that is important. Somehow or other, having open spaces contributes to actually the cooling of the house as well as to the aesthetics of the house and the health of the environment. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner Getzel. Commissioner Krieger.
Okay, thanks. I'll try to keep this coherent. I got notes written like 3 or 4 different places here. Yeah, the back up or to follow, what Commissioner Getzel said. I purposely walked the street several times, purposely with the intent of looking at the neighbors, and the comments about it not being out of the ordinary, about it not being much more fronting. I believe in the application it says it's on a 2201. It says it's consistent with the president of the neighborhood. I don't see it. I mean, I walked up and down that street. There is nothing that's close to what I see with the story poles. I mean, nothing. I'm not sure what we're looking at, but so then I started looking at the standards, and the first one is the exceptional extraordinary circumstances that don't apply to other land buildings in the same district. I believe the city attorney, when he was reading the answer to my question, used the word unique. Well, the applicants already said that their house is like all the other ones up and down the street. So there's really everyone's got the same problem. It's not unique to this one property. So if you do it for this one property, you're going to have to do it for everybody. You can't stop doing it, because if you find now that yeah, you need a 3-car garage to be happy, then where do we stop? Because it's it's right now they're all pretty consistent, but what's up with the story poles is not like anything else. I'm just not seeing it. So that's a little puzzling, a little bothersome to me. We've already talked about in Commissioner Jack Shaw kind of hit on the other thing too, is that when do you stop letting, non-conforming structures, come in? Because just because you have something, there's a lot of non-conforming stuff around, but it doesn't mean we want more of it. And it talks in A and B kind of go together. And C, it talks about at the end of it, so materially detrimental to the public. It cannot be, materially detrimental to the welfare, or it can't be injurious to the property or improvements in the neighborhood. It's kind of touchy-feely. I don't know. That's an awfully big structure for the neighborhood and for the neighbors. And it's a beautiful home. I mean, I like it. It just looks like it doesn't conform at all with the neighborhood we have in Delray Oaks. Maybe I wish we had more guidelines, but it's up to us to make a judgment call. And I don't know. To me personally, it really would change the character. If we had more of those, it would start to change the character of the city. I mean, it doesn't fit in any way that I can see, not in Delray Oaks. So yeah, that's kind of what's bothering me with it right now. I don't think we meet the required standard for approving a variance. I mean, the city attorney talked about we have to find factual findings. I don't see where we find the factual findings that would allow us to do this variance, as either one of these variances as requested. And I mean, I agree with Commissioner Gashaw. I mean, I think there's a lot you could do. It'd be a little more modest, be a little less ambitious. It might not be the dream home, but you can make something really nice there without, without going where we're headed with it right now. So, okay, that's my thoughts. Thanks.
Thanks, Commissioner Krieger. Commissioner Getzel, we'll come back to you. Commissioner Wood.
Sorry. Oh, there we go. Hello. Yeah, I love the look of the home, the idea. I don't see it working in that space there with the rest of the neighborhood. Podocarpus trees are an excellent idea up there. You need about a quarter of what you have planted. They're going to get huge and quick. So there's going to be a lot of, so you might want to thin those out. And if you cut down the bottom, then the tops will grow. But yeah, I think it's a great idea, but I definitely see a scaled down version, I think would be more fitting for the neighborhood.
Okay, thanks, Commissioner Wood. Commissioner Berger.
Well, I do like the concept of the home. I think it's attractive. Is it the best use for that lot? That's very challenging. I think it's a word that we've used before, cohesiveness. It really will stand out if this goes forward. It really will stand out. Not to call it a sore thumb, because that's an insult to the design. But there's nothing like it. It reminds me a lot of, I'm from Orange County originally, and the tiny lots on the water, and what we stacked the homes high and deep, and the garages are forward, and it takes away from the personality of our neighborhood. And I'm struggling with the square footage. I'm struggling with if we move forward with this, how many other homes owners are gonna want to build this beyond maximum lot coverage property. It's concerning to me. When we decided to move into this area, we all recognized that this little town comes with compromises. And when we picked our homes, we saw that other homes had one, maybe 2-car garages, and though we struggle with a lot of cars on the street, it is part of being here in Delray Oaks, and this home doesn't solve those problems. I don't really have a problem with the setback, and it's just the house is substantial, and though we can't protect the neighbor's views or anything of that sort, it is substantial. And so those are my more than 2 cents.
Mike Hayward, you're muted.
Sorry, thanks, Commissioner Berger. Attorney Lorca, I'm going to go to you real quick.
Thank you, Chair. I just wanted to see if I can remove my hand here. I just wanted to clarify again the requirements of section 020. We're talking a lot about precedents, and I think I heard the phrase precedential variance. But again, and I think we're there, I think what I'm hearing, but again, focusing in on those 3 criteria, which is the task at hand, and applying the facts to those criteria.
Thank you. So we'll go, Commissioner Getzel.
I had one question. We talk about the authorized square footage, the allowed square footage. And I know there's a difference between, and I'm not sure what FAR stands for, but there's, usable livable square footage and total square footage. Do we have an ordinance that says how much of the property itself can be covered by buildings? And where does this stand versus that paragraph?
I don't know how to put my hand up in the chat. I'm kind of a doofus when it comes to this stuff. Sorry, and I didn't mean to interrupt you, but Chair Hayworth, do I have an opportunity to kind of recap at the end of this? Because I have some thoughts and ideas that I think that the commission may want to hear, or you may not. But I would like to address some of the comments, especially from the Hampers and from some of the planning commissioners, if I can.
Okay, so we're in comments right now. So we're gonna get around to a discussion after a motion. So we'll come back to you at that point.
Okay, thank you.
And Commissioner Getzel, yeah, there is an ordinance, and it has to do with floor area ratio, and it has to do with all the coverage and all that stuff. And those things are addressed in what we were given for this project. So
I didn't understand it then.
and they're over. They're over.
Okay, I'm sorry.
And they're over.
Okay, I'm talking about the actual coverage of the land, not the square footage itself.
2,400, 40%.
40%. That's the number I was looking for.
Of 6,000 square feet.
Of 6,000 square feet.
For a 1-story unit with garage.
Okay. Is that correct, Alex?
We're actually under on coverage. We're over on floor area ratio, which is FAR.
Okay.
So that's where the numbers can push and pull.
Sure.
And I have some ideas, so I will talk to that after.
And we'll get back to that. Okay, so Commissioner Getzel, do you have anything more? No, I'm going to entertain. Well, let me go back to Erin Harwain here. Let her say something real quick.
Thanks. I just wanted to correct you. So for 6,000 square foot lot, the allowable square footage total coverage, Commissioner Getzel, is 2,700 square feet. So that's 45%. And I think I heard 40. It kind of broke up. So I just wanted to make sure we're talking about the same numbers, because there's lots of numbers, lots of good math going on.
Okay, so that 2,700 is based on the percentage of coverage. I did not capture that in my reading. Thank you.
Okay, this is a little out of order. I'll entertain a comment by Dr. Borges. We've kind of moved along from your input, but go ahead.
I hope you guys can hear me now, and I do appreciate that. So in regards to a few things, the podocarpus, a lot of people have expressed concerns about that. I don't plan on growing it 60 feet or even 20 feet high. They're going to be a hedge. And I've been doing this my entire life. And my family has businesses that they taught me all the tricks. So don't worry about that. They're also non-invasive roots. So worrying about the wall with the podocarpus, non-invasive roots. I also want to make it very clear, especially to concerned neighbors, I appreciate that. As much as you don't want me looking into your living room, I don't want you looking into my bedroom. That's why the podocarpus will serve as coverage. Also on the other side, you have windows looking into the bedroom on the other neighbors. So that's a whole different animal. I don't want to do that to you. As far as the driveway, it's not going to be a 60-foot driveway. We will have gorgeous podocarpus about 6 foot on each side or so wide to give you that green and the feel. And the floor area, the overage is because I have to dig down so much to make this garage right, even to add a garage. So we're just going straight up, adding a couple bedrooms. And as far as the footprint and everything else, you can't even see my house really now since I took my bushes down. And as far as being a potential eyesore or not, you can't see my house unless you're using binoculars from across the canyon. So that's one thing to keep in mind too. The plans are as they look on paper, but you won't be able to see it unless I let you in my gates. So I just want to let you guys know we've spent a lot of time trying to figure out how to make everyone happy, and including ourselves. So we're really trying to be respectful, but a lot of these points I need to address them because they're like buzzwords, 60-foot podocarpus, and they're going crazy. They're not going to go 60 feet. I don't want to deal with 60 foot, etc. So I'd be happy to answer any questions along the way. And thank you for letting me speak.
All right, thank you. So did I get all the commissioners?
Hey, Mike, I had my hand up. I don't know.
Go ahead, George.
You're not seeing it.
Go ahead.
I'm sure these guys are honest and will do what they say they do, but you know, we've done garages before, and we don't have any rules against, oh, I'm going to put a garage up and keep my car off the street. Next thing you know, it becomes a storage area and the car is on the street. You know, we have no way of enforcing that. And I wanted to add that what may look good on one site looks terrible on another site. And I've dealt with that personally, and I've made a mistake and I regretted it afterwards. So I just wanted to mention that. And so, thank you.
Okay, I have a few comments. I will say that the first inkling that I had that this project was coming up was when I drove down Canyon Del Rey and I saw the flagging, and I said to myself, holy cow. Of course, I wanted to find out what was going on with that. You know, I think we're beating a dead horse on the setback thing. It is what it is at this point. I think we just need to decide. For me, I need to decide whether a 3-car garage is warranted there. At this point, you know, I'd like to see it scaled back to maybe a 2-car garage, but again, that's precedent setting. I don't recall seeing another one of those garages that along work there that is a 2-car garage. We'll also have to, and there's some other things we'll have to address when we make a motion about the oak trees and the sidewalk or the driveway width. What other comments did I have? I don't know that we've kind of addressed any of the neighbors' concerns. You know, I think the garage is more of a architectural review thing. We have an architectural review element to what you're being charged with here as well. And I too think that it's big. I appreciate the fact that it's the convenience of going from the garage to the house. That's really a great idea. And I too think that the design that I'm seeing here is very attractive. Is it fitting with the neighborhood? I'm not so sure. It's modern. You know, all of those houses along work are challenged. You know, all from one end of the work almost all the way up, they're challenged. They're small lots. They're on a slope. I'm sure there's all kinds of things that I can't even imagine that are problems. Water intrusion into garages and houses running down the driveways and all that stuff. But anyway, as far as from me, I think it's a little big, and we should consider scaling it back. So with that, at this point, I'd like to entertain a motion. Alex has already told everybody that the standards for approval for this. So we have 3 things to address here. We have the ARC 22-01, variance 22-01, and variance 22-02.
Can I just, as the applicant, can we not actually talk to the comments that were made so that we can actually?
You'll have an opportunity after we make a motion. We'll have discussion. at that
Usually,
point.
I've never seen a motion made before that, but okay.
Well,
That's why I'm like, wait a second, you're making a motion already.
Well, that's how, that seems to be the standard in the state. I've been reading up on this and that seems to be the way that that's done. So if I'm out of line, City Manager Gerton, you can let me know.
I was a planning commissioner for 16 years and we never did it that way, but
That's great.
It's fine.
Okay.
Got it.
City Manager Gerton, am I out of line?
No, you can do it that way.
Okay, all right. So I'm looking for, I'd like to see a motion at this point.
I'd like to make a motion that the applicant come back next month and scale it down to the permissible maximum square footage and reduce the size of the garage to a two-car garage. And I'd like to possibly bring the height down a little bit. That's my motion.
Anybody have any comments on that?
I'd like to add to that if I could. Next month, I'd like to see what the changes in the finishes are going to be as well. So that I have a better understanding of that, but I support what George is saying and scaling it back and that includes the down to two-car garage.
I'll accept that.
Okay, Alex, is that specific enough? It sounds kind of vague.
It's yeah, I mean, planning commission can deny the project with direction back to the applicant for what they're looking for. But with respect to specifics, if the planning commission, votes in favor of them, they can do that. But generally, what's typically done is to reject the current application and with some broader direction as far as what can come back. And so far I've heard just broad direction and not, specific square footages and things like that.
So Alex, would my motion be I reject it as proposed?
Well, you would deny
deny it, yeah.
Deny the applications before you and for the stated reasons, and then the applicant can take those stated reasons and work on them.
Okay, so that's what I'll do. I deny the motion or deny the application as presented, and to come back with it downsized to the maximum allowable square footage and a two-car garage.
Okay, so I'm looking for a second and then we'll come back for discussion. And then after discussion, we'll call for a vote.
I'll second. I'll second.
Okay, so we'll come back to discussion and Mr. Turgan, we'll get to you as questions come up here. So George, do you have anything further you want to discuss on this point?
No, I accept Mike's addition to the finishes.
Okay. Commissioner Getzel? No. Commissioner Krieger?
Nothing additional.
Okay. Commissioner Wood?
No.
Commissioner Berger?
No.
Mr. Turgan, did you have something you wanted to add?
Oh, I did want to,
If I
before
could
you
just
made the motion to.
If I can just interject,
Sure.
we want to work with you and find a way to make this whole
No,
thing work.
and we want to work with you. That's exactly what I was going to say.
Yeah.
I was going to speak to the hampers regarding the windows. I mean, and I was going to say condition it, but you guys have already reached your verdict on this, so we can work on the windows with the hampers directly. The retaining wall, that'll happen in building permit, so this is not the purview to discuss that. I mean, we will make all amends to make sure that the retaining wall will remain in state and nothing will happen to it based upon what we're doing. With regards to the height of the building, we're totally in compliance. Lowering it is not an option because we're allowed to build the house that high. In fact, we're under the allowable height. So, having a comment like, holy cow, well, that's a second story on a slope. That's really what happens. And the house next door has a second story on it as well, and is also a holy cow, I guess, if you want to call it that. I think I can work with the client on reducing the garage size if that's what's going to gain more traction on here, because I think if we do reduce it down to a double garage and are more sensitive to the width of that, we can also maintain, there were a couple of commissioners that were talking about A, the tree, and B would be the width of the driveway. So I think we can work with that. And I don't have a problem with bringing actual materials in if that's what you guys would like to see. I don't have a problem with that at all. I think the thing that really kind of irked me the most was standing out. What's wrong with that? I mean, do we all want the ticky-tacky houses that all look exactly the same? No, of course not. I mean, that is not what we're here for. We're here to express what we like and do what we like with our houses. That's what we do as planning commissioners. That's what we would like to look at. I mean, let's look at something different. Why does it have to be all the same with the same roof lines and the same color palette? I mean, then we're going to be in Southern California in a development. I mean, that's not what we want here. So, I mean, I think we have to be open to other people's styles, and I don't think there's anything wrong with the style at all. In fact, I think it's going to be great. I think it's going to look a little different, but then again, there's a house that's purple down the street. Are we going to comment on that? I mean, we have to be really careful on aesthetics. And we have no problem with working with the commission and with the city on that at all. And I'm actually super glad that we're okay with the setback. And by the way, if we do take one garage out, my math, we're under. So it would actually bring the square footage down to where it needs to be. I think it's just going to be a matter of working with my client and understanding that, you know, maybe this is just the way it has to be. So, and at the same time, we get a front yard, you get that tree back. I think it's kind of a win-win for everybody, and I have no problem. I think we can bring this back next month, and I think everybody will be on a different page.
And I'll speak to the garage thing if you don't mind real quick. You know, just scale it back to where it's, you know, looks like a 2-car garage and still fits in the square footage.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So we've, Erin, you have something?
Yes, thank you, Chair. I just wanted to clarify, and Alex, please chime in. You guys need to make findings for denial as well. So I don't want to skip procedure here. So we need to speak to each of those items, A, B, and C, of why you're denying it. And then there's the appeal process and whatnot. So just want to make sure that the protocol gets filed and maybe amend the motion. I don't know how to do that, Alex.
Yeah, the motion can be rescinded now. I guess I would turn to Karen to see if she has captured enough from the conversation to sort of synthesize that, or perhaps it's the commission's pleasure to go through the individual ones and speak to the certain facts that are applicable to each one. So I don't know if Karen's comfortable having captured that, or if she
I would prefer hearing from the commission on this.
Okay, and so Alex, all 3 of those things have to be found?
All 3 of those things have to be found. And so what a maker of a motion or the commission as a whole can do is go through them and speak to them to support of the finding of denial.
Commissioner.
Commissioner Krieger.
Yeah, no, I think we kind of did address these earlier. I mean, I'm not sure how much in depth you have to go. A was, we talked about the fact that the applicant's house is in the same situation as all the other houses. There's nothing unique or about it that's or extraordinary. That doesn't apply, or exceptional, doesn't apply to the other houses. So variance, there's no reason that this particular property would not need a variance. That it would apply to all of them. And then B was that substantial enjoyment, and I'm not sure how you address that. And so I don't know. And then C, we talked a little bit about that as well. But
well, from my perspective, B, I don't know, is that house any different than any of the other smaller houses? I mean, we all have small houses. Are we preventing them from enjoyment and of their property rights? I'm not convinced. I'll go to Aaron real quick.
Thank you, Chair. Sorry to keep piping in, but I want to make sure that, we haven't done a variance in a while. We're halfway, almost all the way through the year, it feels like. So just in terms of, and I've been thinking about this outside of our discussions, Alex, and so again, pipe in if you disagree, but for criterion A, when I read same district, I think R1. So R1, there are, a subset of houses on Work Avenue within a bigger R1 zoning district. So, technically, and because I want to give you guys some flexibility to make grant a variance if needed the next month. But if you look at it as there's a subset of work houses on Work Avenue that may qualify for a variance because other homes in the R1 districts within the city don't have those slopes. So it's not, don't be so narrowly focused just on Work Avenue maybe, and think of the entire district. Alex, do you want to add anything? Am I out of line?
I think it's a reasonable reading of subdivision A of 020. And if the commission finds as much, I think that's a reasonable interpretation. The word district could be, district as far as, big cities theater district, these type of districts. But as a residential district, I think would be a proper reading of that phrase.
And residential district is our interpretation. Well, I guess it was my interpretation that we're talking about that area of work that has similar topography.
Yeah, I mean, I think that that's a reasonable interpretation as well. I mean, you can apply it to the residential R1 in general, and if you wanted to look specifically around the project site, that's within your discretion.
Good. Chair, could I ask a question again real quick for the city attorney?
Sure.
Thank you. I just want to clarify because and make sure I got this straight. So there's the three conditions we need to speak to. Do we need to just speak to one in order to deny the variance, or do we need to speak to all three to deny the variance?
Because all three are required, if one is not met, technically that's enough to deny, but for the benefit of the applicant, you may choose to speak more broadly. Okay, I just wanted to clarify. Thank you.
So to my way of thinking, I think we've part A has not been reached, at least to what I'm hearing, our approval, to our standard. So if we only really need to do one, I think A is satisfied. I think Commissioner Krieger already spoke to that. Am I in line there?
I'm sorry, Chair. Is that a question for me, or is that for?
Well, I guess I'm just stating that based on what you just said, if we really only need to do one, A, I think we found that there is no condition that is unusual in their property than any of their neighbors.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So then by default the three haven't been met. But again, if you wanted to speak to the other requirements, you may.
Okay. Anybody have any input? Aaron?
I'm so sorry. Thank you, Chair.
Oh, that's all right.
I'm just making sure that we're covering all our bases. I think that you need evidence for all three. When reading the municipal code 030, it says Planning Commission is required to make a written findings of fact showing whether the three qualifications stated apply to the proposal. So I'm, again, abundance of caution. I'm just didn't want to skip a step.
So if I understand, even if we said there wasn't evidence for A was not met for the variance, but B and C were, that would still give us the right to deny the request because all three are required. Am I hearing that correctly?
That's correct. All three of those criteria must be met. But to Aaron's good point, I do think there's benefit to the applicant for making the finding with respect to all of them pursuant to 030 and just further direction to the applicant for next time.
Thank you for listening.
And let's add to that, do we need to do that with all three of the pieces we're here to see, the architectural review and both of the variances?
Yes.
All right.
I was just going to say, it could be that one variance is different than the other versus the architectural review. So now certainly you can group them together, but as long as it's clear that, that it's applying to two of them or three of them or whatever the commission may decide.
Okay.
Well, if I may chime in.
You may.
I made the motion and it's probably me that has to add those problems with the findings, but my tongue would probably explode trying to figure out how to word it. I don't think they satisfy that because, we could ask for a huge building and it couldn't, because of the size of the lot. B, I've never quite understood that. Why would somebody apply for a variance if it wasn't for the betterment and enjoyment of themselves? And number three, or C, excuse me, for the public welfare and injury, that the neighbors are apparently not very happy with the condition there. So the applicant, that's not satisfied either. And so they're willing to talk to the neighbors about that. And so for me, A and C aren't met.
Well, and if I can speak to B, the situation with their property is not any different than the neighbors. I mean, and you kind of know that when you buy a house on a small lot that you're limited, as everyone else has. So
right.
I don't know that we're limiting their enjoyment of their property if they're enjoying it now. So I don't know.
If someone would like to put that formally so I can accept it, I would appreciate it.
Aaron, does that?
I'll withdraw my motion and somebody else can put another one in.
Yeah.
Either way.
Aaron, does what you're hearing sound like it meets what you're after?
I like that, and I can work with Karen on the language listening back. And I think just for the record, Commissioner Jessica, maybe we can state that what variances you're applying these conditions to. Is it all three? Well, the two variances and the design review. What I'm kind of hearing is that the commission might be accepting of the variance request for the setback of the garage. They just want to see a smaller garage. So maybe the variance can be granted for, okay, I'm not trying to put words in his mouth. I'm just trying to give you some guidance, but you could grant the variance for the garage setback, the legal non-conforming issue, and then, deny the variance for the FAR, which has to do with the square footage and such that I'm hearing the comments on, and then the A and C being applicable to the design review as well. Well, actually, these criterion don't apply to design review. So I'll defer to Alex on how you make your finding for design review. So I'm just talking about the two variances. So maybe I gave you some ideas there. If you could just speak specifically to which variant or which variants A and C do not apply to, so it's clear for the record.
Did you have something to add, Alex?
No, other than to, affirm the idea that the A, B, and C of subdivision 020 are for the variance only. With respect to the architectural review, that would be pursuant to the regular criteria you use for such applications.
George, did you want to modify your motion with regard to with what she's just brought up about the garage and the setback? Because really all they're asking about is the setback on the garage.
Can I say yes?
So Yeah, I guess I'm not supposed to speak to that, but it sounds so Aaron, you said, I agree with what you said. I think we're all in agreement with that the setback is really not an issue, but we want the garage scaled back.
Yes.
And that's what I was supporting with George's motion, that the square footage, so A was an issue to roll that back to what is permissible by the planning code. And then also, I didn't have an issue with the setback for the garage either. We discussed also, we would like to see the new proposed finishes that was discussed early on in the meeting.
Aaron?
Thank you again, Chair. So maybe for the first variance, maybe if I can help you guys summarize, and Karen, for the record, for the setback to the garage, going through A through C, you could make a finding that there are extraordinary circumstances associated with this construction of the street and the property line versus the curb and gutter, that's kind of an extraordinary circumstance I see. Again, I'm kind of summarizing, so just maybe to be used in a motion to help some of the commissioners. And then granting the application, granting that variance is necessary for the preservation and enjoyment, granting that variance if they'd have to move their whole garage back again, and that would really not preserve or I don't think the applicants would enjoy that situation. They had to relocate their garage right now.
Could I make a suggestion? Could we just do this in 3 motions?
I think that's a great idea, Commissioner.
Okay.
So why don't I continue? Let's maybe let this be the first, the motion here for the variance for the setback. And then also the setback would not result in adversely affecting the health of safety or persons by continuing that setback. So that's kind of what I'm thinking I've heard. So I'm going to step back and let you guys word that better.
Could I make a suggestion? Could I have George withdraw his original motion? And I'll try this one.
Denise, I will, Louise, I'm going to withdraw my motion, and I'm going to let you attack that because my head's ready to explode.
I move that we grant the variance for the setback of the garage under that there's extraordinary circumstances due to the topography of the lot. It is definitely necessary to utilize that garage, and it will not harm or adversely impact the health and safety of others.
Okay.
I'll second.
And you need to add the scaling back of the garage.
No, we're only doing the variance from the street.
Yeah,
Scaling back the garage would go to the design.
yeah.
Okay.
So this would deal with, so just to, Louise, this is the variance 2201, correct?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, just for the record, I'd second that.
Hey, Karen, roll call.
Commissioner Jackshaw,
Aye.
Commissioner Krieger,
Aye.
Commissioner Wood,
Aye.
Commissioner Getzelt,
Aye.
Commissioner Berger,
Aye.
Chairman Hayworth.
Aye. Okay. Do I have a motion on variance 2202?
I'll try it.
Go ahead.
I make a motion that we deny variance 2202, that the extraordinary circumstances do not justify the increase of square footage, that the granting of the application, that the not granting of the application would not adversely impact the preservation of the existing lot, and the granting well, that's 2 out of 3. I don't think we need to address 3 or C. As far as well, we can address C in the fact that the size potentially could adversely impact the property.
Okay, do I have a second?
As far as geologically.
Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Karen, roll call?
Commissioner Getzold,
Aye.
Commissioner Jackshaw,
Aye.
Commissioner Wood,
Aye.
Commissioner Krieger,
Aye.
Commissioner Berger,
Aye.
Chairman Hayworth.
Aye. Okay, so do we want, did we address the architectural review?
No, that's the 3rd motion.
Okay. Who wants to step in that one? Go ahead.
I guess I'm in the box. I move that we deny the architectural approval of this design due to its size and also the width of the garage is extraordinarily and recommend it be reduced to 2 cars.
Okay, and
I'm not sure what, I'm not sure, there was discussion about the finishes, but I'm not sure what's wanted or what's desired or what the problem is with the current recommended or planned finishes.
go ahead, Mike.
The finishes, the finishes that are on the plan, it was brought up, I think, by Mr. Turgeon that there were going to be some changes, some.
I know what it was. It was wrongly described as being matching existing, and it's not.
Correct. It's in the application, and we never had that in the application that was matching existing, and we had asked for it to be removed and it never was. So that should be stricken from there. And what we'll do is when we come back in, we'll come back in with a finished board for all of you so you can see what they look like.
Can we add, Louise, to that, the width of the driveway to be conforming with what's allowable by the city?
Okay, let me try this again. I make a motion that we deny the architectural review at this time based on the oversize that recommend that the square footage meet current ordinances, recommend that the garage be reduced to 2 cars and that the driveway meet current driveway width.
Okay, and Aaron, in what you've heard, do you think we've satisfied A, B, and C on that? Or do we don't have to?
We don't
do A, B,
need
and
to.
C on that. Okay, all right.
No, you're good.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, Karen? Karen?
I
Sorry.
know. Commissioner Jackshaw,
Aye.
Commissioner Krieger,
Aye.
Commissioner Wood,
Aye.
Commissioner Berger,
Aye.
Commissioner Getzold,
Aye.
Chairman Hayworth.
Aye. Okay, so we have approved the variance for the setback for variance 22-01. 22-02 was denied with the reasons given, and ARC 22-01 were denied based on the reasons given. So I guess hopefully we will see you back with our next month's meeting. Mr. Turgeon.
Chair Hayworth, sorry, and thank you for approving our project. That was awesome. You said ayes. I'm sorry. That's a joke. Due to the unsturdiness of story poles, everybody's already seen it. Can we have the owners remove those unsightly things? Based upon knowledge of what the project is already, and that we are going to come back. But as far as the height of the existing structure and height of the second story, kind of stuck in there. And that's sort of where we're sticking because we are under the height limit. So we are by right okay, regardless of how the commission feels or how neighbors feel. We will talk to them and work things through. But my thought is that I've seen way too many story poles blow down in winds, and you never know where the winds are going to come from. And I feel that they do become a problem, especially when they're up over a couple of weeks and they're only kind of mounted to the side of the house. So I think we know how tall this building is. I think everybody's taken a look at it. I think everybody's kind of taken a picture. I think if it would be okay with the commission and with the city, it would be, to me, a good thing to allow the owners to kind of remove the orange netting and the stuff from their house.
I'm going to have somebody from the city get back to you on that, because we need to look at the ordinances and all of that has to do with storyboard, story flagging and all that stuff. John, is that something?
I know Joe Headley. Joe Headley, I've worked with him many times, and he's been on the same. They get too rickety, and you're looking at a public safety thing. And I don't want them to fall on the neighbor's house. I don't want them to fall on the clients. I mean, my thought is that let them take them down. We've already proven where it is. And I mean, I don't think we're going to need to put them up again. I think we know what this house is going to be.
Chairman?
Yep. Go ahead, Gary.
Yep. Just a suggestion for the staff to think about. Maybe it might be possible just to put up the story poles for the garage, not the house, but just for the garage part before when we see this again, just to give us an idea what the new front of that would look like, but not the whole thing.
I would agree with that. I think we could. Sorry, Mr. Krieger. So you're asking that we could take down the ones on the residence, but then we just kind of put the story poles where the garage would be expanded to.
Gary, I'm sorry. I'm gonna have the city manager get back to them on the story pole thing.
That's fine. If someone can get back to me or Rebecca, that would be great.
Right.
Yeah, we'll come to something that I think we can all agree on.
Okay.
Sounds reasonable.
Does anybody have like air spray paint?
Joe Headley does.
Okay. If he does, he'll probably hit me with it.
Borrow my sky hook. All right. Well, thank you then. We're done with that. So we'll go back to the commissioners. Any announcements by commissioners? Commissioner Jackshaw?
Yes, I would like to thank Denise, or I said that twice now, Louise, for taking that on. I really appreciate that. And two, I wanted to mention that our citywide garage sale was a roaring success. We did, I think, almost 80 garage sales. And I want to thank, not individually, but everybody that helped out with signs and late pickup and so forth like that. So that's my only comment. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Getzel.
I just want to thank everybody for their ideas and thoughts on tonight. I think that helped everybody understand what's going on and how to compromise and get everybody what they want and what they need without infringing on others. And also want to remind, I don't know how many are retirees, but the Army Garrison will be hosting Retiree Appreciation Day this Saturday at the La Mesa Housing Area Community Center, which is off of Aguaito Road past the courthouse. It's from 8 till 2 in the afternoon. Guest speakers are from the County Office of Military and Veterans Affairs. So, and there'll be a number of vendors there. So encourage anybody who has any military. It says Retiree Appreciation Day, but we don't check ID cards or anything. So come on by.
Great, thank you. Commissioner Krieger.
I'll just put a plug in for the upcoming picnic. It's morphed into a fall festival, but October 1st. So put that on your calendar, and we got some fun stuff, changes coming up with it. So stand by. Put it on your calendar.
Great. Commissioner Wood.
I got nothing. Thanks. Yeah. Thank you, Louise.
Good to see you and your kitty. Commissioner Berger.
Remind everyone the next week is Car Week. Add 20+ minutes to your travel time and mind the road rage.
And not much from me other than thank you. We haven't had one that we've had this many car architectural reviews and variances and all that stuff in one, and everybody handled it well. Thank you very much. And thanks to Karen and John and Alex and Erin, wherever she is. There she is. Anyway, with that, the next meeting of the Del Rio Planning Commission will be September 14th at 6 o'clock, and I adjourn this meeting.
I will not be here.
Okay.
Okay, noted.
And don't think I'll be able to zoom in either because I'll be in Gatlinburg, Tennessee at a CID agent reunion.
Okay. You see IDOA. Gary, did you have something? Okay. All right.
Bye-bye.
Good night, everybody. Thank you.
Happy birthday, Mike.
Thank you.